We're back here at Romney Economics, wrong for the middle class. We're here with Senator Dick Durbin of Illinois, the Assistant Majority Leader in the Democratic side and in the House and the Senate. He used to be a House member from Illinois. Thank you, Senator, for joining us.
Good to be with you.
I yesterday listened to Paul Ryan, and I spoke to your colleague Jan Schakowsky a little bit ago, and it is amazing because I know you've been involved with the Simpson-Bowles Commission. To see this guy go on national television last night and criticize the president at the same time, he voted against the legislation, Simpson-Bowles. I don't square this. I don't know how you do.
You can't. You know, this was the first chance, the President's Deficit Commission was the first chance for a bipartisan, balanced, comprehensive deficit reduction plan. 18 members of the commission, 11 of us voted yes. Paul Ryan, all 3 House Republicans voted no. Had they voted for it, we'd have pushed this to the floor. This wouldn't be a conversation today. It would be a vote that could have led us to a much stronger economy and even more jobs.
One of the things that continually tends to amaze me, and this is typical of the Republicans, is that they are all doing the work of the 1%, whether it's the banking committee, which I know that you've talked about on the Senate floor, the banking industry, or big oil, the Koch brothers. It just seems to me that they are really not intent on any reality for the 99%. All their issues, more tax cuts, the 59 points of Romney's plan, the first 12 of the 16 are all helping the wealthy. It doesn't seem that any of the plans they have are for the 99%, for the middle class of this country, which is going to decide the election, obviously.
Do you know what tells a story? 17 angry old white men are creating these super PACs. Why is Sheldon Adelson, a billionaire, Las Vegas, casino magnate, putting money to pick the right horse in the presidential sweepstakes? He picked one that didn't finish, Newt Gingrich, but now he's on the Romney horse because these people, with all their money, think that a Romney bet is one that's going to come back and pay off big for them.
Exactly.
What America's looking for is a president who's going to work for the others, the working and middle-income families that struggle paycheck to paycheck. You know, Sheldon Adelson's going to be just fine whether he has $2 billion or $22 billion. But the average person who can't make ends meet, can't pick up a big hospital bill when it hits them, you know, those are the people that need a helping hand.
We're talking with Senator Dick Durbin, Assistant Majority Leader in the United States Senate, here in Tampa, Florida, the home of the RNC and the Democratic response. One of the areas that you have focused a lot on is trying to figure out a way, to help get more jobs. There are a number of plans that the president has, the jobs bill, that has been stymied by the House Republicans and some in the Senate. Is it at a point where this is the worst that you've seen in your career, and as both a House member and now a Senate member, where there is no desire to compromise, no desire to help the country? We could have reduced the unemployment rate by 1% down to 7.2% with the jobs bill, but yet they won't do it.
It is the worst, and the record shows it. 85 or 86 Republican filibusters in the last year and a half breaks all the records. Every time we bring a measure to the floor, especially if the president has said, I support this, this will create jobs, join us in passing it, the Republicans under Mitch McConnell say no. Our goal is to make him a one-term president to vote against everything he brings to the floor. Now, a couple times you'll get an exception. You know, they'll let Scott Brown wander across the line and vote on our side once in a while, but it's never enough to make 60.
Exactly.
That's what it boils down to. It's the worst I've ever seen it. It's the worst in the history of the Senate. And what the people of America have to ask is, are you going to reward that kind of conduct? The divisive conduct in the House, take a look at the House, where the Tea Party Republicans have more than once pushed us to the brink in closing down the government and closing down the economy. You know, that isn't leadership. When these leaders get up like Chris Christie and say, we need more leadership, it ought to start in his party. The leadership there would say, for the good of the nation, both parties should work together. Who cares who gets the credit? At the end of the day, the American people will get the benefit.
There's no doubt. The one thing that I've been talking about is the fact that, yes, this is a presidential year and it's extremely important, urgent to vote for President Obama, but also very important to keep you in the leadership in the Senate and to get a Speaker Pelosi or a Speaker Hoyer back into the House, because you can't get anything done. McConnell, your colleague in the Senate, wasn't the idea of more alternative energy, wasn't the idea of better education, wasn't the idea of removing troops from Afghanistan. It was about making Obama one-term president. It would seem to me that this is a critical year to tell every American that, yes, you got to check off President Obama, but you also got to check off the Democrats in the House and Senate, in some cases governors and state House situations.
Well, of course. Take a look at the House Republican majority. There are about 80 Tea Party members who really call the tune. Boehner occasionally looks like he might want to work with us, then he gives up, gets cold feet and walks away. The Senate now, 40% of the Senate Republicans are Tea Party Republicans. There was a vote they had in leadership which proved that a few months ago. And 41 of the 47 Republican senators have signed the Grover Norquist pledge. Grover got nervous a couple months ago, came up to the Hill for a face-to-face meeting, and each of these Republican senators stood in front of him and renewed their vows to Grover Norquist that they would never raise a penny in taxes on anyone, no matter how wealthy. That isn't a good way to run America. It isn't. I mean, they've taken their oath to the Constitution and the nation, not to Grover Norquist.
One of the areas that I think is on the president's favor, and as progressive as a Democrat, is the idea of rebuilding this country with infrastructure. I mentioned wind and energy, wind and solar energy, ocean thermal, biodiesel. The focus recently on the military, using algae to the battleships, and Republicans don't want that. This, to me, is if America knows that there is one party that is willing to rebuild, and the name of the show is the Jeff Santos Show, Rebuilding America, and this would seem to make a real difference, and I am hoping the president and Democrats will focus on that next week. Your thoughts on that?
Let me tell you, the Democrats embrace science, real science, research, and the opportunity it creates. Whether it's medical research, energy research, defense research, we are looking for ways to do things more effectively at a lower cost and to keep America safe and thriving economically. The Republicans are in total rejection. They ignore what's happening to our environment, this extreme weather that we're going through time after time throughout the course of the year. They ignore the reality of energy, which says energy efficiency is an important part of this conversation. It isn't just a matter of drilling, of course we have to, but it's a matter of being smart about the way that we generate electricity that can serve our nation. And look at medical research. When the Republicans say we're going to cut in spending, they're talking about the National Institutes of Health. How many of us, virtually everyone listening, has been in a position in life where you said, oh, I pray to God that there is a pharmaceutical or some procedure, medical procedure or device that can save the life or help someone that I love very much. That is an investment in the future. It's an investment in compassion, and the Republicans think it's something we can no longer afford.
Unbelievable. One more question. The thought that a Democratic majority in both the House and the Senate is possible, and obviously the polls show that it is very, very possible that could happen with the president being reelected. Do you sense that that this could open the door to rebuff of Citizens United, the constitutional amendment that your colleague Senator Sanders has talked about, and just moving the country to, obviously reducing unemployment? In other words, that this is the one last chance that this country has in a lot of ways to really help things, is a Democratic majority, and otherwise we're going to be stifled and doing nothing for another 2 years.
The constitutional amendment is a high hurdle, 67 votes in the Senate. You need votes from both political parties. The only way to generate that is public sentiment. Sick and tired of the super PACs and these 17 angry old white men who want to own the American political system. When they reach the point where they're fed up with it and they're willing to fight back, where they engage everybody, Democrats and Republicans, in meaningful change, then we can step forward. I've got the public financing bill. I can't get a single Republican to co-sponsor it. And, let's be honest, it's going nowhere in the House of Representatives with a Republican majority. If you think the current system with all this money from all these special interest groups makes us a stronger democracy, then, ignore the reality. The reality is a stronger nation will come when we have shorter campaigns focused on real questions and answers and issues where people respect the process and respect the candidates elected from it.
Senator, it's a pleasure to have you on. Thank you so much.
Good to be with you.
Thank you. Appreciate it very much. You bet. Look forward to doing more. Yeah, sure.